The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios.
Hi, this is Mia Mosinzia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing, available in print and ebook formats on Amazon.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios and sponsored by international award-winning author Mia Mosinzia of Missing. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on over 40 podcast platforms, as well as hamiltonradio.net, Diamonds FM, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. We can be heard in over 100 countries, featuring over 1,000 well-known and amazing guests throughout the globe. And named one of the top 100 global podcasts in the New York Weekly Times, Hollywood Entertainment News, Los Angeles Weekly Times, Apple, and Chartable. So sit back and relax and enjoy another great episode of the award-winning Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios and brought to you by official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international award-winning author Mia Mosinzia of Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We're here with a terrific gentleman who's a Canadian author, storyteller with a deep passion for literature and reading with a dedicated following, eager to embark on exhilarating journeys and write several short novels. He did that, and some got unpublished, shelved, and more as well. And his influences include a couple of wonderful authors as well, and covers many genres, including space adventures, the JFK assassination, and more. He has a new book out, which is a fast-paced suspense thriller in an electrifying ride from the Middle East to Toronto to England, with twists and turns like roller coasters into the treacherous world of international crime, full of secrets, characters, and hidden agendas. The book is called Propofol. Live, ladies and gentlemen, at Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Toronto, the amazing Canadian author, storyteller with deep passion for literature and reading. And he's got you on a roller coaster with this one with Propofol. Ladies and gentlemen, the multi-talented Paul Egli. Paul, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Great. Well, it's great to be with you there, Mike.
Well, it's great to have you on board as well, too, Paul. So you're a Canadian author, storyteller with deep passion for literature and reading, while you have a dedicated following eager to embark on exhilarating journeys as well. You wrote several novels as well, short stories. Your influences include John D. MacDonald and Lee Child, and also you cover many genres, including space adventures and the JFK assassination. And your new book is called Propofol, which is a fast-paced suspense thriller and electrifying ride from the Middle East to your home base, Toronto, to England, with twists and turns and more, into the treacherous world of international crime, full of secrets, characters, and hidden agendas. And before getting all that, Paul, tell us how you first got started.
How did I first get started?
Yes, go all the way back, machine.
Okay, well, actually, it's interesting. So, as you mentioned there in your introduction, it's a very nice introduction. Thank you very much. I've always loved books. I love, and the urge to writing comes on you a little bit more slowly, But eventually, though, I thought, gee, I'd love to write. And I got married, and the place I worked, I was a 9-to-5 guy for most of my life. And they said, well, this guy just got married. We got to give him a better job, So I come back from my honeymoon, and I'm in the in the world of accounting and finance. They gave me a new job, and the job was to study what a gentleman was doing there, and he's going to retire, and I was going to take his place. So I come back from my honeymoon, brand new job. I'm sitting there at the desk, and it took me about 3 or 4 weeks to realize I didn't have enough to do. Like, he's there, I'm there.
Too easy for you, huh?
I guess it'd be like if they got you to, shadow another radio host, you wouldn't have. But I'd come back from the honeymoon. We were down in Key West in Florida, and I don't know if you've ever been down to Key West, but it's a nice place, really interesting. And I thought, well, you know what? I could probably write a little story about Key West. And if I do it kind of at work and no one notices, because I didn't have anything to do, really, I can maybe get away. Now, I'm not advising any one of your listeners to do that. That's not a smart thing to do, is to be.
Well, you know what, though, with social media, today's world working virtual, you can get away with just about everything and anything. So go figure.
Yeah, now it'd be easier. But I was sitting there and I was kind of putting papers under papers and, pretending like I was doing account, but not constantly, but just anyways. So I wrote this. That was my first story about Key West. I'd never got finished. It's like a couple of my other stories. It's somewhere in my basement. I don't even know if I could find it. like you mentioned, I also wrote a story about a space detective, which I thought was pretty darn good. But again, that one, because I was working and married, that one never ended. It's in my basement, and it might be in paper form, it might be on a computer disk. I don't know where it is.
Or somewhere in space.
It could be. And then you also mentioned I've always had a real interest, and I imagine a lot of your listeners probably do, depending on their age. Now, I know if your demographics, you mostly younger people, baby boomers, millennials.
It's pretty much anybody can listen to a program. There's no age restrictions, of course. It's like, even a toddler can listen to the show. Even somebody up to 100 who could barely hear can listen or watch the show. It's endless.
Well, I'm in the baby boomers, and for me, like there's John Kennedy's assassination was like the big event, and I've always thought, boy, I'd love to try and write something around it. It wouldn't necessarily be the assassination, but it would be a story that occurs while the assassination is taking place or it's connected. So I wrote a really interesting story, maybe 150 pages. But again, I got to admit, I never did finish that. I'm pretty sure that one's in the basement and I could find it, but I want to go back to that. Maybe, farther down in my career, if I have a teeny bit of success, I'll maybe be able to do that. But then I retired, I guess a few years back from my 9 to 5 job. And I said, I'm going to write this damn book, like it's like you said, I got to paint the garage. And finally, I'm going to get this thing done. So I got the computer all organized. I saved things properly. So I wrote my book. And it got published, and I'm hoping it has some success. And I've got another one that's written, and I'm just editing it. And it's I'll tell you, Mike, it's kind of fun.
And it does sound fun as well too. Who are some of your favorite authors, writers, and novelists growing up, and especially your favorite books growing up?
My favorite books?
Yes.
Well, I think you mentioned one of them. This John D. MacDonald. And again, I'm not too sure. He's a little bit in the past, and probably many of your listeners or watchers might not know who he was, but he was an American author in Florida. And he used to write about a character named Travis McGee, who was an investigator, detective, he wrote about 22 of these books. He was fabulously popular in his day. I think he sold somewhere like 80 million copies of his books. And they were great stories. You may not be aware of them, but he would really, if you start reading his stories, it's like eating peanuts or something. You can't stop because they're so good. And but he had a little bit of a romance, a little humor, excitement, and he was also a little bit of social comment in there too. Like he was one of the first guys who was concerned about the environment in Florida. I know now everyone talks about the environment, and who knows, maybe they talk about it too much now. It's hard to say, but back then he was one of the first. I guess he'd look around, he'd see the Everglades, and next day there'd be a shopping plaza there, and he'd go, "Whoa, I don't know if that's such a good thing." They're dumping the sewer in the ocean.
Unless it's called the Everglades Plaza, that could happen.
Yeah. Well, that's so he had a nice balance between a great story and a little bit of thoughtful. And so that's what I try to do. I try to do the same thing. I try to give my readers a really good time, but at the same time, throw in a few ideas to, let them ponder.
Oh, that's amazing as well, too. And of course, so we'll talk more about your book, Propofol as well, too. You got an upcoming book as well. Twists and turns. We'll find out with the amazing author, Paul Egli. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. It's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those who love be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassie, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Girls Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com or 40 podcast platforms. Heard in 100 countries, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Also, Apple Music, Odyssey. Subscribe on BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, and more. Follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and more. Tickets with you on any mobile device. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies. Makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com. Make sure you check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/me and for great books like Misting, Once and Wrinkles. Also t-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/me and check it out today. And support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. You hear the amazing Canadian author, storyteller with deep passion for literature and reading with a dedicated following, Paul Egli, here on the Mike Wagner Show. Before we talk about the book, Propofol as well, too, that who are some of the other influences that you enjoyed growing up, and some other books? You listed 2 authors, John D. MacDonald, Lee Child, and who are some other favorites?
Well, there was a few. My guy, actually, I also like nonfiction books too. Like I was a big fan of the Second World War. Winston Churchill, he wrote a history of the Second World War, and I really, really, really enjoyed that. I've got that actually sitting here in my room. The first fiction author I think that I really enjoyed, like I don't know about you, if you remember the first movie or the first book that really was an eye-opener for you, is I read the Sherlock Holmes books. Like in school, we read one.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Elementary, dear Watson, elementary.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they are quite elementary, my dear Watson, elementary.
Yeah, like the butler did it with the candlestick.
But I didn't do it.
But I guess sort of at, I don't know about you, at some point, like I read them and I thought, wow, this reading literature thing really matters. It's like watching me. I don't know if you recall the first movie you watched that really got you going on movies. I remember I was at home and maybe I was one of those periods, you're at work and you finish school, you don't have alcohol. And I watched a Humphrey Bogart movie and I thought, Jesus, that's good. I can't believe that's so damn good. And then of course there's a lot of more modern movies after that. But but I read cereal boxes. I read Facebook.
Yeah. I'm one of those things, or even the ones you cut out the records. You also, did puzzles, word games, and everything else. And if you're bored, you just read the ingredients on the box.
Yeah. So it's I really enjoy reading all sorts of different things. But the books that really got me were the thriller suspense. So that's the area that I thought, well, I'll write a book and the reader can pick it up and they'll go, hey, this is kind of fun. I kind of forgotten that I just had a fight with my wife. The boss beat me up. The dog bit me. I lost my wallet. Well, forget about all that. I'll just read this book by Paul and I'll enjoy myself.
And you're still trying to stress yourself out on who done it while you're arguing with your wife. And maybe they can help you and make amends, like, who really did? Was it the butler or not, honey?
Well, no,
if you're wrong, I love you.
No, you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. You got that right. And of course, you also make your mark too, as well, with Propofol as well too. Have a book, fast-paced suspense thriller, going from Middle East to Toronto to England. And tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, it's your listeners might not even know like that the title, the Propofol. When I first pitched that to an agent, and they said, you got to ditch the title. Like that title stinks. So I better tell you what it is, because you might not even know, but it's an anesthetic. So if you had to go to the hospital and get your appendix out or something serious and they had to knock you out, they probably give you a dose of Propofol. That's probably the most common anesthetic in the States and maybe even around the world. And it works, because I had it once myself, and they give you a shot of that. And you don't have to count back from 10. You don't have to go like, 2 Mississippi or 3 Mississippi. You're gone. As soon as you get it, you're gone. And I think it's safe. I don't think people get sick or they have problems, and they wake up, which is a really good thing for an anesthetic. So my story, I don't know how much you want me to tell you about it, but
go ahead. All you want. I mean, this is your time, your art. It's not about me. It's all about you. So go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, if you put a lawyer, a politician, or an author in front of a microphone, they'll never shut up. So,
or just like, what was it? A Jew, a priest, and a rabbi walked into a bar, and that's it. So,
well, yeah. So, well, you give me a nudge when I've talked too much. But, anyways, this book, Propofol, it opens up on a subway in Toronto. It could be a train, it could be a plane. But anyways, a guy and a girl are sitting there. And of course, what does a guy do when he meets a girl? What's the normal thing?
What's up?
Well, yeah, well, actually falls in love.
Well, in today's society, you're going to say, yo, what's up? Hey.
Well, anyways, he falls in love with the girl, but the girl, she gets shot. She gets like a shot in the head, but she doesn't die. But before she gets unconscious, she's holding this laptop computer and she gives it to him and she says, hold on to this thing. It's got a lot of very important information. She doesn't use that many words, but don't let anyone else see it. And when I'm better, you can give it to me. And then she's gone. And they knock her out because very often when you get your head gets badly hurt, the doctors decide to put you in an induced coma. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but they knock you out, and the anesthetic they use is Propofol. So that's the anesthetic is like a cloud that hangs over the whole book. Because the only person that knows what the hell's going on, what's on that computer, she's unconscious from Propofol.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and of course, with her being on the computer and everything, and what does a computer what does it contain? Files, everything like that, and why is it so important? And why are the bad guys after it?
Well, that's you kind of hit the nail right on the head there. So the whole thing is it's an international intrigue story because the data on the computer contains information. Now, this might get a little gory. I hope you've had your dinner or your lunch or your. But anyways,
well, I've had some thick crust pizza with a lot of toppings on it. Had about maybe 3 meat, 4 meat. I have no problems with it. And I've got my drink as well too. So go right ahead.
Okay, well, as long as you're so the information that's on this laptop is about people that are harvesting human organs and selling them to hospitals, and then hospitals transplant them. And the only thing is that actually happens in the world. You might not think it does, but there were cases in the Middle East, now going back a few years, where some of those terrorist groups, they kidnapped tourists and they knocked them off. But before they knocked them off, they took their organs and they sold them to get money. And I got to say that the Chinese government, unfortunately, have done that. They have a nasty habit in China. I'm probably offending someone and we'll both get sued, but I think it's documented. When they execute someone, it's not uncommon for them to take the person's organs and either use them or sell them. So the whole point of my book, the whole the bad guy, good guy thing, is the bad guys are harvesting these human organs. They're selling them to hospitals for a profit, but they're harvesting them from people without their consent. Like if you bump somebody off and take their kidneys, they don't really, that's not really. So, and then the whole point of the book is that people who have the laptop are trying to figure out, what's on the laptop, what's going on. But the information on there is about this international ring that's, as they say, harvesting human organs and selling them.
Mm-hmm. And what is the cause and the reason for this the thing with selling these human organs and everything? Is it like is it the country, are they unemployed, or are they more like is it like feeding to the warlords or anything like that? It's like why is that so rampant when it comes to selling organs?
It's money, Mike. It's money. Like there's UN reports. There's a lot of. I think it's been in front of a lot of your committees in Congress. I'm not sure today, but in recent history, it's big business. Like, if let's say someone goes to the hospital, like have to get a new kidney, they might pay $45,000 or $50,000. So the wholesaler, the person who actually got the kidney, they're going to get a nice. So the whole thing is built on money. Like the terrorist groups in the Middle East, they want the dough. And I guess the Chinese government, I honestly don't know how. You wouldn't think they need money, eh? Like they got more money than almost anybody else. But I think the key motive is money, and they're scarce too. So if, let's say, God forbid, you or I had to go to the hospital and we had to get a new organ, a lung or a heart or whatever it is, you'd probably go on a waiting list unless you knew somebody, and you're going to have to pay a lot of money and you're going to have to wait. So there's a way more demand than there is supply. So there's a lot of incentive for bad guys out there to. It's a terrible, terrible crime. I can't even imagine it, but it happens.
Mm-hmm. And I was more thinking about the whole, human organ, the donations. I shouldn't say donations, but the unlawful kidnapping and get a whole organs and everything like that. How big of a problem is it in Canada?
I don't think it's a huge problem, but if you, let's say, you're like me, I imagine. Like, my kids say, well, where do you want to go for a holiday? Well, I said, well, I kind of say, well, I'd like to go to Florida or, maybe California. They say, oh, no, Dad. Well, that's what, you got to go to Syria or you got to go to Thailand or something. So if you're unlucky enough to go to a place like Syria and you get into the wrong place and someone grabs you, that might be the end of you and it might be the end of your, what's inside of you too. So, it's, I mean, it doesn't happen every day, but when I did this story, I'm a typical writer, so I usually do a lot of research. I don't want to write about stuff that I don't know about. So there's many, like there's UN reports saying that this is a problem in the world and it should stop. And that was the bait. When I read that, I thought, well, this would be a good basis for my story.
And this is all based on a report that you read recently about with countries stealing organs, selling for profit. That was the basis of it.
Yeah.
Wow. I would say amazing, but I thought it was just kind of perplexing. That's been going on for years, but I wasn't aware it has gotten so spread worldwide. It was in Africa, now it's China, and I think it's oh my God,
it's pretty nasty stuff. Tell you, it's pretty nasty.
And I'm thinking about it as well too with the whole story. And what about some of the other subplots in there? Like, is there like any a romantic couple conflicts or anything like that?
Yeah, I kind of, what, I'm kind of a romantic at heart, eh? So the two people on the subway at the very beginning, I think I might have mentioned it. There's a guy and a girl sitting next to each other. They start talking. The girl gets shot, right? And so she gives her laptop to this guy and says, "Hold on to it." But of course, like any normal guy, he would fall in love with her, right? So there's a romance there, and it can't get too far because she's unconscious for almost the whole story. But there's a romantic element. There's some humor. I got a really good scene in there. I don't know if this happens to you in the States. If you ever been on the highway and there's a lot of trucks around you, like I don't know.
Oh yeah, like a good old convoy. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know they got I'm not blaming them because they got a job to do. I mean, they got a tougher job than you and me probably. They got to drive all day, drive all night. But I got a really good scene in there where there's kind of a smart ass cab, and he's driving the main character to the hospital, and he gets mixed up with these trucks, eh? Like he tries to get around them, and they don't want him to get around them, and so he kind of waits till they're on either side, and he scoots right up the middle, eh? But then they decide to make a sandwich out of him. And so he kind of does a little bit of swearing and a little bit of this, and he hits the pedal and he gets through. And anyways, so I try to make that one pretty humorous. The way I describe it is maybe not so humorous, but if you're sitting there reading it, you'd think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it certainly does sound like it as well, too. And of course, you also have another novel coming out, which is called Dad. And tell us more about that.
Yeah, no, you know what? Have you ever had been a situation, Mike, where you kind of figured, if I'd only been somewhere else at a certain time, I kind of missed the boat by that much. Have you ever had one of those?
I've had those, or miss it by that much, like get smart, missed it by that much.
Well, that's the way I feel with this book, Dad, because it's all, I'm of the age, where, my parents have passed away, and you kind of miss them. So the part of the book is playing on that, people missing their parents. But again, it's mostly a suspense thriller. People get involved in an adventure. There's good guys and there's bad guys. But the whole underlying story is kind of about the conflict between Israel and Iran. And that's right in the news now, eh? So I'm not sure if you followed it too much, but Iran over the years has tried to build nuclear technology weapons. That's been their big thing. They feel that the States and the Western world is out to get them, and the way they can get back at us. And God forbid, I hope they never pull it off. But they've tried many times to get nuclear technology. And Israel, of course, realizing how vulnerable they are, they've done everything in their power to keep Iran from getting nuclear technology. So that's my story. The whole story in this one, the people they're kind of on the side of Israel, and they're trying to keep Iran from blocking them. And I make it like a nice, suspenseful thriller story. But I keep thinking, geez, that's right in the if I could only get that book out tomorrow, it might be very popular just because everybody's talking about that now. But I'm still about 5 or 6 weeks away from published.
And I think Iran and Iraq have been building a nuclear weapon since the 80s, I believe. And I think it's like even like, maybe around the Carter administration, around 75, 76. And I think that's been going on for quite some time. That's getting really magnified. And now Korea's got involved in the act, North and
Yeah,
South,
it's
and Russia.
it's a dangerous world, Mike. And the other thing that it's just a crazy coincidence. Did you hear news reports recently about how the sun was having some activity and it sent a bunch of energy towards the earth and it might knock out your TV or your cell phone and the northern lights the other night? Did you hear about any of that stuff?
I saw that on the news, but although we are in the northern part where we're at, we didn't see it whatsoever. We've had some cloudy skies as of late, and I see all the time about you can see Orion, you can see Big Dipper, you can all the astrological news that's going on with the stars, the skies, and you can get your telescope and see this. We haven't really seen a thing up where we're at because it's cloudy up there, and I've seen the Northern Lights, Aurora Borealis, and we have those back where we used to live and everything. But we've had some cloudy skies up here, and I haven't seen it whatsoever. But I did read in some of the news and some of the parts, it is so magnified. It's almost
Yeah.
like you're watching an electric rainbow.
Yeah, well, yeah, electric rainbow. That's a good way to put it. That's what happened. As I understand it, the sun gets these storms, and sometimes it sends out, energy, and sometimes it hits the earth. Fortunately, space is a big place, so it's not going to hit us very often. But it sounds like it hit us a few days ago. Well, that's my story. The whole opening is the earth gets hit by one of these sunstorms, and that starts a whole sequence of events that are part of my book. So once again, I did the get smart thing. I thought, Jesus, it's a shame I can't get my book out there because everybody's talking about the stuff that's in my book, and but I'll try and get it out soon.
And of course, that's coming up as well too. And of course, you always had Shaken from Within, and tell us more about that.
Shaken from Within.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with that one too much, Mike. Shaken from the next story that I'm working on. Like I think you mentioned, I would love to do one about JFK and his assassination. I would really like to.
Oh yeah, you want to expound more on that? And
Yeah, I'd really like to. Now the only problem with that one is you got to do a lot of research. Like there's been so much written about. There's probably a lot. You could fill a library with all the books written about JFK. But I'd have to read quite a few of them if I was going to do a decent job on this. So I'm actually hoping that my current book or the one that follows it has a little bit of success, and I can afford to, do the research. I'd like to interview quite a few people. Like that's the kind of story that you might maybe go to the Dallas Book Depository, and they have a museum down there, and you can talk to people there. There's probably people living in and around Dallas that actually remember it, and so that's what in the future, that's what I would like to do. I don't know if I'll be able to pull that off, but it's certainly something that's on my bucket list there.
And of course, you talk about the JFK administration, and of course, being a baby boom and everything else. Where were you, and what were you doing when that happened? The assassination.
Yeah, I can remember that pretty well. I was a young guy then, and I was walking on the street called St. Clair, which I know you and your listeners would not have any idea where St. Clair is, but it's a real pretty street in Toronto. And the only reason I bother even mentioning the name is it plays a part of my current book in Propofol. Like a lot happens on St. Clair Avenue in my current book. But anyways, I was walking across St. Clair to go to the barber shop. And again, I'm a really young guy, and this man comes up to me out of nowhere, and he says, "Did you hear what happened down in Texas?" And like I didn't know him, he didn't know me. He says, "Yeah, the president's been shot." So yeah, to answer your question, I know exactly where I was when this took place, and I know a lot of other people. Like maybe if you're a bit younger, like maybe 9/11 was the big event for you when the towers went down. So if you ask people, where were you and what were you doing when the towers went down? Most everybody can answer that question too. So,
very easy too. And of course, I can say off the cuff that 2001, when the towers went down, I was actually taking my son to school, and also I work at the same place. And then I thought it was more of a Howard Stern man called Mueller prank. It's like world, plane crashed in World Tower. I thought it was a joke, and then it turned up. It's like maybe the pilots are drunk. towers are going crazy. And the fourth, it's like, what the heck is going on here? So, it's like you can call the plays and you'd be like, I thought it was just like a Howard Stern prank. That's what I thought. But, well, we're not going to go into it too much. So that's a thing. So, and of course, what's coming up for amazing author Paul Egli? We'll find out just 1 minute. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios, brought to you by official sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson's Missing. We'll be back with the multi-talented Paul Egli of Propofol after this time.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention The Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. It talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamotionzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Ray Powers, and boy, are you in luck. Right place, right time. Tuned in to The Mike Wagner Show. You heard me.
We're back with author Paul Egli of Propofol here on The Mike Wagner Show, also upcoming dad. And what else can we expect from you in 2024 and beyond?
Well, again, this book, Dad, I'm not sure if you interview a lot of authors, but for me, when I write a book, and you try hard, you don't want to make spelling mistakes and you don't want to use the wrong name for someone, but that stuff creeps in. If you have a book that's 280 or 300 pages, there's bound to be mistakes. And like the worst thing the author can do is, let's say you got a character named Bill and he dies in chapter 4, and then chapter 6 he pops up again. Like you don't want something. So anyways,
unless you believe in ghosts in the paranormal and afterlife, then that's perfectly okay.
Yeah, well, or he changes names. He was Bill in chapter 4, and he's George in chapter. So anyways, all I'm saying is that I go through my book meticulously, word for word, maybe 10 or 15 or 20 times, just to make sure that everything is tight. Hey, there's no spelling mistakes that you don't say or do something So anyways, that's what I'm doing right now with this book, Dad, which, for the reasons that we talked about, I'd love to get it out there because it deals with the Middle East conflict, it deals with solar storms, and I think people would really. Can I tell you one funny scene in that book?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay. Well, like I said, it kind of plays on the theme where people miss, their parents have passed away, and they, they're no adult now, and think, gee, I sure wish I could hang out with my mom or my dad. Like, we could relate with each other. We could have a cup of coffee. We could have a drink or watch a baseball game. And so that's part of my book sort of plays on that emotion. So because of that solar storm, really freaky things happen on Earth, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to suspend your imagination a little bit. But one of the freaky things that happens is this guy's father, who died 25 years ago, comes back to life, right? And so they're sitting in a coffee shop, and they're having a coffee. And I'll just kind of tip it off. These two guys are going to be part of this adventure, this adventure where you've got Israel on one side and Iran on the other. But that's farther down the road. So anyways, they're sitting in the coffee shop. They're having a coffee, and the father says, "Well, I got to go to the can." So sure, that's fine. So he goes to the can, and he does what he's got to do, and he comes back and he looks at his son. He says, "What the hell kind of washrooms do you have here?" So he died 25 years ago, right? And the son looks at him. He says, "What do you mean, Dad? What's the problem with the washroom?" "Well, I walk up to the sink, I put my hands there, and the water comes on by itself. Then I go near the soap dispenser, and the soap comes out. Then I go over to the towel rack, and the towel pops out. what kind of society have you guys turned into? Are you like, you got to be the laziest people in the world? And anyways, that's a little bit of my humor.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's so amazing. And where can people find your books at, Paul?
It's Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and just look for my name or the name Propofol. It's you know how to spell it, and it's available there. You can buy it.
And what's the website?
My website is my name, so it's Paul and then no punctuation, just Egli.net, and I've got some cool stuff on there. I talk about the book, I talk about other things, I talk about myself. I like to talk a little bit too about what I try to the experience I try to give the reader, like what is behind my books and how I hope that they'll enjoy my books when they read it. So it's my name, paulegli.net.
All right. Well, certainly check that out. We're here with the amazing, multi-talented author Paul Egli, Propofol here on the Mike Wagner Show. And just a couple more things. Who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
I think those writers that I mentioned to you. You know, I had a love of writing, and well, do you know the author John Grisham? Do you know him?
Mm-hmm. Yes. What was
So
it? The Client?
yeah, that's right. He wrote The Client. He wrote a book a little earlier than that called The Firm, which is about a young guy that started off at a law office. What city was that? Gee, I can't quite remember. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was a Midwest city, and
Chicago?
maybe a little farther west. But anyways, he but that book was so damn interesting. I remember I started reading it about 8 o'clock at night. This is when he was a new author, right? And I started reading it. Maybe my wife or one of my friends gave it to me. Well, Mike, I couldn't put the damn thing down. So like it's midnight and maybe I'm halfway through, and I'm thinking, I can't stop reading this book, you know? So I keep on going. It might be 3 o'clock or 4. I don't know when I finish, but I had to get up next morning at 7 o'clock to go to work.
Oops.
So this was not a smart thing to do. But the point of the story that I'm telling you is the power of the written word. Like if I'm not in, I'd be quite happy to carry John Grisham's bags out to the airport. I'm not in the same group class as him. But this shows you, though, a really good book can draw you in and really be exciting, and you can enjoy it. I mean, so that was one of the things that really said, Paul, you got to take your shot at writing. Like if you can give people even close to the same experience that John Grisham can give, or I know I love Stephen King. I think that guy is just a pure genius.
One of the best in the business.
Yeah, he is. Wow. He writes. He used to write a lot of kind of I guess kind of horror stuff. But he wrote The Green Mile. I don't know if you know the Green Mile. He wrote a couple other books, like he wrote a terrific book about Kennedy. He wrote just a fantastic book about Kennedy's assassination that I've read many times, and just a super guy. But again, the point of it is that if you're a good writer, you can give the reader as great an experience as going to see one of the best movies possible.
Oh, certainly indeed as well, too. And we got all that, some big influence as well. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
About writing?
Or just overall in general?
Overall in general. Oh boy. Now there's a real I wish it would have tipped me in advance. Well, I gotta ask you the same question too at the end. Okay. Is that a fair deal if I give
Absolutely.
you an answer?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the advice, give me 1 second. I don't want to chew up all your time, but wow. Maybe be true to yourself. Like, if you believe in something and you think it's important and it's worth either defending or doing something about it, then like I say, be true to your own values and your ideas and what you believe in. So over to you. What advice would you give to someone?
I would simply say, in the words of Michael Jordan, just do it. That's how I look at it. So you just do it, use your gifts, use them wisely. And if you don't know your gifts, you just ask somebody, search yourself, or go to a higher power. So that's how I do it. So you just get out there, do what you love, and everything you do as well. So we're here with the amazing author, Paul Egli of Propofol here on the Mike Wagner Show and more. Paul, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'd love to have you back. Once again, what's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your books?
So my website is paulegli, my name, .net. And you can go and get a copy of the book at Barnes & Noble or Amazon. And I got to say, Mike, it's been a real pleasure to sit here and chat with you, and wish you the best, and we can try and stay in touch.
Sounds great. And what's your website again?
It's my name, Paul Egli, EGLI.net.
All right, we'll certainly check that out. Paul, very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We laugh at your back. We wish you all the best. And Paul, you definitely have a great future ahead of you.
Oh, thank you very much, Mike. It's a pleasure and thanks a lot for having me on your show here.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. You know, it talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamotionzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show. Brought to you by international award-winning author Mia Mohsen Zia of Missing, and powered by Sonic Web Studios. Be sure to join us again on over 40 podcast platforms, and of course on the MikeWagnerShow.com, HamiltonRadio.net, and Diamonds FM. Don't forget to support our program with a generous donation at the MikeWagnerShow.com. Thanks for listening.